Wait, you think the hardest part of my job is the smell of decaying flesh? Not even close. It's the silence. Or rather, what happens when that silence is broken. My name is Michael. I'm 52 years old, and I'm a crime scene cleaner. In my line of work, there are rules, unwritten laws passed down from the guys who've seen too much. Don't take souvenirs. Don't look at the family photos. But the biggest rule. The one that can cost you your sanity. If the landline rings in a house where someone just died, you let it ring. You never, ever pick up that receiver. Because sometimes, the person on the other end hasn't realized they're dead yet, and they're looking for someone to blame. Actually, before I tell you about the Vale's residence, you need to understand where my head was at. A few weeks back, I had this weird run-in at a BP station near my house. I was just grabbing some ice cream for me and my mom, nothing crazy. I'm autistic and I have ADHD, so my brain is always running a mile a minute. I was in line behind a guy and his daughters, and I had this random, intrusive thought about gently running my hand on one of the girls' hair. Just a sensory thing, you know. I didn't actually do it, obviously. I subconsciously thought about it, but never acted. Then, one of the girls backs up into me. She looked up at me, I smiled as you would do, and thought nothing of it. I bought the ice cream and left. But then, while I was close to my house, a car pulls up beside me and a woman calls out to me. She asks if I pulled on her daughter's hair. I said no at first, but then I started to second-guess myself. I internally asked myself if I had done it to the point where I believed that I had actually done it. I then told her I had done it, because they were grabbing their father's hair. She called it sexual harassment and threatened to call the police. I gave her a fake name, Leon Kennedy, and a fake address, just to get her to leave. My mom checked the security footage at the BP later, and it turned out I never touched her. Not even a finger. But that incident, it took a massive hit to my confidence. I felt sick, afraid to leave the house. I felt like I couldn't trust my own memory. So, when I got the call for the Vale's job, I was already on edge. I was already primed to doubt what I was seeing. The Vale's residence was an old mansion, colonial style, isolated at the end of a dirt road, surrounded by tall eucalyptus trees that blocked the sun even at noon. The crime had been brutal, a robbery homicide that happened 3 days prior. The victim, an elderly lady named Helena, lived alone. The police had already released the scene. The body was gone. Only the mess remained. I parked my old van on the gravel. The silence of the place was absolute. No birds, no crickets. Just the wind making the eucalyptus leaves whisper like muffled voices. I put on my gear on the porch. The white Tyvek suit, the thick rubber gloves, the boots, the full-face respirator mask with activated charcoal filters. I looked like an astronaut lost on a hostile planet. I went inside. The house was a time capsule. Dark solid wood furniture, heavy velvet curtains, Persian rugs. And the smell, the metallic tang of blood was there, strong, fighting against the scent of lavender and floor wax. The incident occurred in the music room at the back of the house. I walked down the long hallway, my boots making a muffled thud on the hardwood floor. I opened the double doors. It was a devastating scene. There was a grand piano in the corner. Shelves with sheet music scattered everywhere. And in the center of the beige rug, a dark stain, dry at the edges, but still viscous in the center. There were drag marks leading from the piano to the broken window. I started the routine. First, remove the glass shards. Then, cut and remove the part of the rug that was unsalvageable. Finally, treat the hardwood. I worked for 2 hours in silence. The sun began to set, dyeing the room a melancholic orange. The shadows of the furniture elongated, looking like stretched fingers. I was on my knees, scrubbing the floorboards with a stiff bristled brush, when I felt it. A sudden drop in temperature. It wasn't a draft. It was as if someone had opened a freezer door right behind my back. The sweat inside my suit froze instantly. I looked at the wood I had been scrubbing for 20 minutes. The stain. I had just cleaned it. I had seen the clean wood, pale from the chemicals. But now, the blood was there again. And it wasn't dry. It was bright red. Shiny. Hot. It bubbled slightly between the cracks in the wood as if it were springing from an underground source. Scrambling backward, I whispered, "What the hell is this?" That was when the phone rang. It was an antique device, a rotary phone made of black bakelite, resting on a side table near the piano. The ring wasn't electronic. It was a mechanical, physical, shrill clatter that echoed through the empty room like a scream. I froze. I looked at the pool of fresh blood. I looked at the phone. The rule said, "Don't answer." But my mind was already broken from that BP incident. I needed to know. I stood up slowly. My hand, encased in the yellow rubber glove, was trembling. I lifted the receiver. "Hello," my voice came out hoarse. There was only static at first. A white hiss, like distant rain. And then, a woman's voice. Trembling, whispering, terrified. "They are in the garden." I felt a chill run down my spine. It wasn't a recording. The voice reacted to my breathing. She said, "Please, you need to help me." I saw through the gap in the curtains. "There's a man in the garden. He's standing there staring at the music room window." I looked at the music room window. The window that was broken when I arrived. Now, the glass was intact. There was no hole. No shards on the floor. The glass was perfect, reflecting my face covered by the gas mask. "MS, Helena," I said, "who are you?" "It's me, Helena," she sobbed. "I'm hiding behind the piano." I looked at the piano. No one was there. She told me she was seeing a monster with a rubber face and big glass circles for eyes. She said I was holding a weapon. I looked at my hand. I was holding my metal scraper. In the orange light, it looked like a broad knife. I wasn't the cleaner, in her timeline, I was the killer. I tried to explain, to tell how I was from the future. "No," she screamed. The moment my fingers touched the glass, I heard a deafening crash. The glass exploded through me. I fell back, dropping the phone. The room changed. The light vanished, replaced by the darkness of night. And then I saw her. Cowering behind the piano. An elderly lady in a blue silk robe. But she wasn't looking at me. She was looking at the figure entering through the window, a man in black holding a crowbar. I was on the floor, invisible, watching. I was a ghost at the moment of her death. I tried to scream, but no sound came. I heard the wet, horrible sound of metal against bone. Once. Twice. 3 times. I opened my eyes. The room was empty again. It was day. The window was broken. The phone was on the hook. And the blood, it was steaming. Fresh. She had just died. Again. The house was trapped in a loop, and I was just a cog in the machine. I grabbed my bucket and smashed that phone. The ringing stopped. The blood dried instantly. I ran out of that house and never looked back. I later heard about Marcos, the guy they sent to finish the job. He lost his mind. They found him sitting in that room, holding a broken receiver to his ear, whispering, "Just one more time." I almost saved her. I don't go into houses with landlines anymore. Because I know that if you answer, you might never be able to hang up.